What they feel when you stop looking for them, make them miss you. Modern Stoic. When you stop chasing, you stop bleeding. When you walk away, you begin healing. Welcome back to Blessing of Stoicism, where we uncover the timeless truths that every man must master. Let me ask you something. What happens when you stop searching for her? What shifts the moment you no longer show up in her inbox, her thoughts, or her world? That, my friend, is where the real magic begins. Because when a man steps back, not out of weakness but out of strength, he changes the entire balance of power. This isn't manipulation. This is Stoicism. This is control. This is self-respect in motion. You see, the greatest paradox is this. They only begin to feel your worth when you stop offering it freely. It's when your energy is no longer chasing, no longer giving, no longer available, that they begin to miss what they once took for granted. As the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who did the injury. Translated for love and life today, the best response to neglect is elevation. Rise above. Disappear not in silence, but in greatness. Imagine the kind of man who no longer needs to be noticed to feel powerful. A man who walks away, not to punish, but to evolve. That man is remembered. That man is missed. That man becomes the ghost that haunts her thoughts, not because he begged, but because he vanished into excellence. Your absence, when done right, becomes a thunderous echo. So here's your challenge, brothers. If you're ready to reclaim your attention, to withdraw your energy like a king reclaiming his crown, type this below. My absence will speak for me. Let the world know that you're no longer waiting to be chosen. You are the choice. And when you're gone with such presence that your memory becomes more powerful than your presence ever was. Today, we don't just step back, we step up. We rise into a version of ourselves so grounded, so clear, so stoic, that our silence becomes unforgettable, ready to become the man they never saw coming and will never forget. Let's begin. A thought experiment. Let's begin with a mental exercise, a shift in mindset that will redefine the way you understand your presence in someone's life. Picture yourself not as a person, but as the sun. You radiate warmth. You give light. You create the conditions for joy and growth. Your presence is the silent force behind their peace. But the moment you withdraw, that light disappears. The air cools. Shadows stretch longer. And what they once took for granted is now hauntingly absent. At first, they don't notice. But time is your greatest ally. As the days pass and your light stays gone, they start to feel it. The cold, the distance, the emptiness. And with that comes realization. Not the shallow kind, but a deep, aching awareness that you mattered more than they admitted. This isn't about emotional manipulation. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about understanding your energy, your attention, your loyalty. All of it is a gift. And when you pull back, not out of bitterness but out of self-respect, you change the dynamic entirely. You're no longer chasing. You're choosing. You are the prize. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "He who is not master of himself is not free." So take your power back. This is the art of making them miss you, not by force, but by the undeniable contrast of your absence. And when that happens, you become unforgettable. Not because you begged for attention, but because you disappeared with dignity. A common concern. You might be wondering, if someone walks away and becomes absent, isn't there a chance that they will forget about me entirely? Won't my absence just push them further away? This is a common concern. But it's important to understand that this strategy isn't about disappearing completely. It's not about vanishing from their life to the point where they move on without a second thought. Instead, it's about creating a subtle yet powerful shift in the dynamics of your relationship. By stepping back, you're not removing yourself entirely. You're creating space for them to reflect, to realize, and to feel the impact of your absence. This isn't about being absent forever. It's about making your presence felt more strongly. By stepping away just enough to allow them to understand what life is like without you in it. Think of it like a beautiful painting. Sometimes stepping back allows you to see the full picture and appreciate its true value. This is the core of our discussion today. We're not talking about playing hard to get. We're talking about the transformative power of creating space. When you stop looking for someone, when you pull back your attention, something profound happens. The dynamics shift. The way they perceive you begins to change. And in that shift, they begin to feel the weight of your absence, perhaps more intensely than you could have ever imagined. Think about the last time you lost something valuable. Maybe a favorite piece of jewelry or a cherished memento. Remember the pang of loss, the regret of not appreciating it more when it was in your possession. This is the same feeling that begins to creep into the minds of those who took your presence for granted. The difference is, unlike that lost item, you have the power to choose when or if you re-enter their lives. So before we jump into the 10 points that will break down exactly what they feel when you stop looking for them, take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Think about the times when someone's absence made you realize their true value. What emotions did you go through? What thoughts lingered in your mind? Hold on to those feelings, because they're the key to understanding what happens on the other side when you decide to take a step back. Number 1, the shock of silence. Let's talk about something most men overlook: the raw, undeniable power of your silence. When you stop reaching out, stop chasing, and suddenly withdraw your presence from someone who has grown used to your consistency, something almost spiritual happens. They feel the shock of silence. Imagine you were the one always initiating, sending those good morning texts, checking in just to ask how their day was going, planning things out while they simply followed your lead. Your presence was like background music, subtle but reliable, always there. Then one day, without a dramatic exit or emotional speech, you simply stop. No messages, no calls, no presence, just silence. That's when everything changes. It's like walking into a room that's always had music playing, only to find it suddenly quiet. That silence doesn't just echo, it screams, and it makes them uncomfortable. They start to wonder, why does the day feel off? Why am I checking my phone more than usual? What happened? The silence forces them to face something they never had to consider before: what it truly feels like not to have you there. As Rumi once said, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. In this case, your silence allows them to hear the echo of what they've lost: your stability, your energy, your care. And yes, you might ask yourself, what if they don't notice? What if I didn't matter that much? And here's the truth. If your absence doesn't leave a dent, then your presence wasn't valued in the first place. But that's not a tragedy. That's clarity. Think of an orchestra. If a violin stops playing and no one notices, maybe the violin wasn't essential. But if its absence leaves the music hollow, then it was far more important than anyone realized. Your silence is that missing note. In real life, relationships operate the same way. When you step back and they start to feel your absence like a missing beat in their daily rhythm, you'll know just how deeply your presence was ingrained. Most of the time, this silence doesn't go unnoticed. It shakes them up. It makes them reflect. It makes them miss you in ways they never did before, and it changes the power dynamic. You are no longer the one giving your energy freely. You are the one they now long for. As the great philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In your silence, they begin to listen to their own emotions, to their regret, to the sudden emptiness left behind. And that's when the seeds of appreciation begin to grow. So, if you've ever doubted the power of stepping back, understand this: your silence speaks louder than words ever could. It's not about playing games. It's about knowing your worth. If someone truly values you, they'll feel your absence like a cold wind in the middle of summer. And if they don't, that's your sign to keep walking. Gentlemen, have you ever felt the shift when you stop chasing someone? Comment yes if yes. comment no if no. Number 2, realization of your value. Let's talk about what really happens when you stop chasing someone who used to take your presence for granted. When you decide to step back, not out of bitterness, but from a place of self-respect and inner calm. It creates a space that can no longer be ignored. At first, they might shrug it off, even convince themselves that it's a relief. But that silence you leave behind, it doesn't stay empty for long. Slowly, something begins to stir in them, a quiet discomfort, like a room that suddenly feels colder because the fireplace went out. It's not just about missing a call or not receiving a good morning text. It's about the complete absence of your presence, your steady energy, your grounded support, your unique way of bringing calm into the chaos of their day. That's when the realization of your value truly begins. In our modern lives, where distractions are everywhere and people are conditioned to seek what's next rather than appreciate what's now, consistency can be mistaken for convenience. When you're always available, always giving, your presence can fade into the background like a song that plays too often. But the moment you stop playing, the silence becomes deafening. You see, your quiet withdrawal is not just an absence, it becomes a mirror, forcing them to reflect on what's no longer there. They start noticing the little things they never thought they'd miss. The way you genuinely listened without interrupting. The way your words had weight, always pointing toward clarity. Your laughter that softened their stress. Your patience that steadied their storms. And as the days pass, those small things become loud reminders of what they no longer have. This isn't just about emotional nostalgia. It's a psychological shift. When someone has relied on your presence as a comfort, your absence becomes a discomfort that lingers. Like removing a piece from a puzzle, the picture they once thought was complete now has a glaring hole. And here's where the Stoic mindset steps in. You don't withdraw to manipulate or to provoke, but because you know your worth isn't dependent on someone else seeing it. Like Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." In choosing to step away, you didn't shout your value. You let your silence reveal it. And that's more powerful than any argument or explanation. They'll begin to realize that you weren't just a filler in their routine. You were a force. You brought depth to their life in ways no one else could. Like their favorite dish they've eaten so many times, they stop tasting it until one day it's gone. They try something else, hoping it satisfies, but nothing hits the spot quite like you did. That subtle ache of comparison becomes a loud truth. You were more than just someone they knew. You were someone who mattered, someone who added flavor, meaning, and warmth. So as they go through their day, they'll start to feel your absence in the most unexpected moments. When something funny happens and you're not there to laugh with. When life gets heavy and your voice, the one that used to bring them back to center, is nowhere to be found. That's when the weight of your absence becomes real. It speaks louder than anything you could have said. It tells them that your value wasn't in what you did, it was in who you were. And now that you're no longer standing in front of them, they finally see the outline of what they lost. Einstein once said, "Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value." That's exactly what you were, a quiet but unwavering source of value. And now that you've stepped back, you're giving them the rare opportunity to recognize it. Not through confrontation, but through clarity. Not through noise, but through stillness. So let your silence speak. Let them sit with that realization. And if they truly see you now, if they truly feel the impact of your absence, they'll come back. Not just to reclaim what they lost, but to finally cherish it the way they should have all along. Number 3, the void of your presence. This is where everything starts to shift. After the silence settles in and your value begins to echo in their mind, the real weight hits them. The undeniable, unshakable void left behind by your absence. And make no mistake, This void isn't just a missing text or a missed phone call. This is a psychological vacuum, a sharp emotional contrast, a sudden emptiness they can't quite explain. You were not just a habit. You were their emotional compass, their hidden pillar, their silent strength. And now, every little thing you used to do has become a haunting absence. The morning texts that no longer come, the small gestures that once went unnoticed, now scream louder than words. The shared inside jokes, dead air, the warmth of your listening ear, gone. It's like walking into a once-lit room now, cold and dark. They thought your presence was ordinary, until it vanished. That's the twist. Your absence is now louder than your presence ever had to be. Like Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And now, you occupy their thoughts more than ever, not because you're there, but because you're not. That's the power of your silence. That's the art of influence without effort. You see, when you step back with grace, dignity, and stoic calm, you trigger a mirror. They begin to see what they lost through the lens of reflection. They may try to fill that space with distractions, with new faces, even with artificial validation. But nothing fits. Nothing sticks. Because what you gave them wasn't just attention, it was significant. And now that it's missing, their life tastes bland. Their days feel hollow. Their nights echo with questions. That's reverse psychology at its finest, because now they chase what they once took for granted. As the ancient strategist Sun Tzu said, when you are far, they will long for you. The void you leave behind is your most powerful statement. You don't have to beg, prove, or chase. You simply remove. And in doing so, you become unforgettable. So if you've ever doubted whether your absence could shake them, let me tell you, it doesn't just shake them, it shifts their entire emotional landscape. Your silence is no longer quiet, it's a thunder that rolls through their routine. Now they understand what's missing isn't just someone, it's you. The man who added value to their life just by being himself. The Stoic who mastered restraint. The high-value man who doesn't cling, but commands. So if this is speaking to you, if you've felt that inner pull to step back and let them feel your worth through absence, now is your moment. Drop a comment below and say this with certainty. My silence is power. Like this video, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Because in the next part, we're going even deeper into the emotional shift your absence causes, and trust me, it's something they'll never forget. Number 4, the rise of curiosity. So let's dive into the fourth thing they might feel when you become absent. The rise of curiosity. After the initial shock of silence, the realization of your value, and the uncomfortable void of your presence, something intriguing begins to happen. They start to get curious. This curiosity isn't just about where you've gone or why you're not reaching out. It's a deeper, more compelling need to understand what's going on in your world now that you're no longer a constant presence in theirs. Imagine this. They're scrolling through their phone and suddenly notice they haven't heard from you in days, maybe even weeks. Questions start to bubble up in their mind. What are they up to? Are they okay? Are they moving on without me? This curiosity can quickly turn into fascination as they begin to wonder about all the things they don't know. They might even start checking your social media, trying to get a glimpse of what's happening in your life, piecing together clues to satisfy that growing curiosity. This rise of curiosity is powerful because it's a sign that they're beginning to see you in a new light. When you were always available, always there, they didn't need to wonder about you. They knew exactly where you were and what you were doing. But now that you've stepped back, there's a mystery around you, a sense of intrigue that pulls them in, making them want to know more. It's like reading a book and suddenly realizing you don't know what's going to happen next. That uncertainty, that unknown, becomes irresistible. As the philosopher Aristotle once said, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. This quote perfectly captures the rise of curiosity. They start to realize how much they took for granted, how much they didn't really know about you. And now, with your absence, they're eager to fill in those gaps, to understand what's happening beneath the surface. Curiosity can be a powerful motivator. It can drive them to reach out, to try and reconnect, to rediscover who you are and what you're up to. And in this process, they begin to see you not just as the person they once knew, but as someone who is constantly evolving, growing, and becoming more intriguing with each passing day. So as this curiosity rises within them, you'll find that your absence will start speaking for you in ways that draw them closer, even though you've stepped back. It's a subtle but powerful shift, where the mystery of your absence becomes a magnet, pulling them in as they seek to understand the person you're becoming, someone who is more than they ever realized. Number 5, the growth of longing. This is where silence begins to speak louder than words, where your absence turns into a mirror reflecting your true worth in their life. When you stop chasing, stop calling, stop trying to be noticed, something starts to shift. First, there's confusion, then curiosity, and eventually that curiosity deepens into something far more powerful: longing. And this longing doesn't show up with fireworks. It creeps in quietly through the smallest details that used to seem insignificant. It's not just the big memories they miss. It's the way you used to smile at them when they weren't looking, the sound of your voice when you said their name, the little rituals you had together. Every song on the radio that echoes a shared moment, every familiar scent, or an old cafe you used to go to. These seemingly trivial things now carry the weight of absence. That's how longing builds, slowly, deeply, in the silence between moments. And the more time passes without you, the more that absence begins to fill their world. It's like a thirst that water can't satisfy, a hunger that only one flavor can satisfy: your presence. The Stoics teach us that true strength lies in control, not in pursuit. By withdrawing, by stepping back with composure and dignity, you're not playing a game, you're mastering yourself. And paradoxically, that's what makes you unforgettable. As the French novelist Marcel Proust once wrote, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. When they look back, they won't just remember you. They'll see you with new eyes, eyes that finally understand your value." This moment of reflection brings clarity. They start to realize it wasn't just anyone they lost. It was someone who brought peace, balance, and depth to their life. That's the power of presence, but also the power of absence. And for the modern. Number 6, the sting of regret. Now we come to one of the most powerful emotional consequences your absence can create: the sting of regret. This isn't just a faint whisper of, "Maybe I made a mistake." No, it's a loud, echoing truth that starts haunting them when the silence becomes deafening, when the comfort of your presence is replaced by the void you leave behind. As time passes and the weight of your absence sinks in, curiosity turns into longing, and longing hardens into a deep, aching realization. They didn't appreciate you when they had you. That sharp recognition hits like a gut punch, and it stings because it's no longer hypothetical. It's real. It's the regret of not listening when you spoke, of brushing aside your concern, of assuming you'd always be there. They begin to replay old memories like a film reel on loop. The times you were there offering support, making sacrifices, showing up without asking for anything in return. They start to see it all with a clarity that only distance can provide. And with that clarity comes the heavy chain of if only. If only they had looked closer, tried harder, loved deeper. This regret doesn't just poke at their conscience, it pierces. It wraps around their mind like a relentless storm, reminding them of the moments they wasted, the words left unsaid, and the love they failed to return. Modern life moves fast, and it's easy to overlook what's right in front of us until it's gone. In the rush of daily stress and emotional distractions, many people don't notice the value of someone who's consistent, present, and loyal until that person goes quiet. And here's where the old Stoic wisdom kicks in. Absence reveals value. When you step away, when you stop chasing or explaining or proving your worth, your silence becomes louder than any words you could have spoken. It becomes the mirror through which they see their own behavior, and they don't always like what they see. As Kierkegaard once said, regret is a sharp-edged sword, not always useful, but always felt. And it's true. They can't undo the past. They can't reverse the emotional negligence. But that sting, that pain of regret, often becomes the very thing that compels them to reach out, to apologize, to try and patch what they let fall apart. Your absence, then, becomes your power. It speaks the truth they ignored. You should have valued me when you had the chance. So if you're in the middle of pulling back, don't underestimate the impact it may be having. Regret can make them finally see your worth, and whether or not they act on it, they'll carry that realization like a weight they can't put down. Number 7, the intrigue of mystery. When you disappear from her world, something primal is triggered, a psychological itch she can't scratch. You become a question that won't leave her mind. You were once predictable, always available, a known quantity. But now, your silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. You're no longer telling her about your day, your dreams, your struggles. And that sudden shift creates a vacuum, one that her mind desperately tries to fill. She starts imagining your life without her. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you becoming? She tries to guess, but your new mystery is impenetrable. You've become like smoke, untouchable, yet everywhere. This is not about playing games. It's about reclaiming your presence, your value. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop chasing, you flip the power dynamic. She's no longer sure she knows you. That uncertainty makes her lean in, not pull away. As Friedrich Nietzsche once said, invisible threads are the strongest ties. Your silence becomes the thread she starts to follow, hoping it leads back to you. In modern life, where oversharing is the norm and attention is currency, your absence is a statement of high value. It says, I don't need to prove anything. I live, I grow, I thrive, with or without you. And that kind of energy is magnetic. Mystery breeds attraction. It rewires how she sees you. You're no longer just a memory. You're a myth she wants to understand again. You're the story she rereads at night, hoping to find something she missed the first time. That's the power of detachment. That's the strength of being stoic, calm, grounded, and unfazed by chaos. Don't explain. Don't chase. Don't reveal too much. Let your evolution unfold in silence. Because when you master mystery, you make her miss the man she never truly figured out. And if you're feeling the weight of this truth hit deep, type it in the comments. She will never figure me out again. Like this, if you're ready to reclaim your power. Subscribe if you're building the kind of life that speaks for itself. And share this with a man who needs to remember, silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Thanks for tuning in. If you found value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who could benefit from these insights. And hey, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below with, "My absence will speak for me." Let's keep the conversation going. Your engagement helps us grow and continue bringing you powerful content. See you in the next video.